Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Saturday. I am sports mental health empowerment coach and couple marriage and family therapist, Dr. Lauren Pitts. Surprise! Y'all wasn't even expecting to see me today. And guess what? I wasn't expecting to be here. Hello. What? I was planning on taking a break today. I was supposed to be off doing stuff. But you know what? It is what it is. It's what I need y'all to do. This is House Talk Pregame. You know that. You know that. That is my friend, my colleague, my mentor, my big brother in Christ. Ted Wright III is with us today. Hey, look, folks, those of you that know the power of prayer, I want you to lift Ronnie Ransome and his family up in prayer. He had a dire family emergency. So it was supposed to be him and Ted today, but we're going to make it do what it do. It's a teeny tiny possibility that Ronnie will join us today. Hopefully he will not. I need him to focus on family and not focus on HT today. But please lift the Ransome family up in prayer because we need that. And they're going to be all right because God got them. And we know that. And we're going to rest in that and be assured about that. So look, folks, Ted, sometimes you gotta add water and stir and all that good stuff. Cause I was like, look, when Ronnie called me, I was in pajamas. I was redoing my plants and getting my house ready because I got family coming in town next week. And I was like, I guess I can't do the show in my pajamas. I had to go into crisis mode to get ready to do the show.
No crisis for you, Dr. Pitts, because men and women plan and God laughs and he gives you a different direction to go in. But guess what? You're flexible. You're like a Gumby. You just do what you have to do when you need to do it. Okay.
There it is. And that's what it's all about. That's what it is all about. So look, folks, today's show is parental executive functioning and your athlete. In today's sporting culture, the emphasis is largely placed on winning. So essentially, if you're not first, you're last. Some parents tend to get wrapped up in this socially driven environment and filled with pride and arrogance over the accomplishments of their children. This can be detrimental to the athlete's well-being on several levels. This is going to be a powerful conversation today. Ted is a former athlete, like I said, Ronnie can't be here, but know that they were going to have a powerful discussion around this. Parent of an athlete, been there, done that, literally wrote about it. But here's the thing, every week we do a mental health tip of the week. And I have a couple of concepts that I want to share with you as my tip this week. But first, I want to read you a letter from Matthew Dunn at Athletes in Action. And it's a letter that he wrote to parents. And it just struck me. And I want to share this with you real quick. And then I'm going to share a concept and we're going to jump into this conversation. He says, "Dear parents, if you're like most, though well-intentioned, you're likely more consumed with the daily grind. AAU practice, recital, games, homework, whatever the case may be, than you are with recognizing the incredible opportunity that lies in front of you. As I look back, I'm reminded that one of my greatest responsibilities as a parent is helping my little guy win in life. However, defining exactly what winning looks like can be a bit blurry in the light of everyday living. Fortunately, sports provide great teachable moments to help unpack this principle. Here's where it gets juicy, Ted. You're going to really appreciate this. The value of sports. He touches on James 4:6. Pointedly, the value of sports help facilitate life lessons. With the proper spirit, sports can show the distinct difference between winning and striving for excellence. More importantly, sports can teach us how to successfully handle failure, choosing rather to view it as a temporary setback that forces improvement. The developed resolve teaches us to get back up and try again when life knocks us down. Winning is more than the scoreboard. Galatians 6:4. It's been said that our response to winning and losing reveals our character. Whether on or off the field of competition, you can still win in life, even in those moments you may take a loss on the scoreboard. Alternatively, when the scoreboard shows results in your favor, you can learn to win gracefully and enjoy the victory without needing to demean your opponents in the process. No I in team, 1 Corinthians 12, 15 through 26. Two values team sports models are the necessity for community and the importance of accountability. When a team works together as a group with a common goal, with all pieces precisely fitting together like a puzzle, everyone must positionally do their very best in order for the team to operate at its optimal potential. Though cliche, a great acronym for team is together, everyone accomplishes more. Goal setting, Proverbs 19:21. Organized athletics lend themselves toward team and individual goal setting, both short and long-term in nature. Goals can help us map out a plan of action throughout all parts of life, and they equally shed light on the areas in which greater practice, preparation, and perseverance are necessary. It is important to note, however, that when planning, our plans must first be within the parameters of God's will and word before any chance of success exists. Character building, Philippians 3, 13, 14, and Jeremiah 17, 7. Sports offer a great backdrop for cultivating character by providing a platform for participants to maximize their performance and achieve their greatest potential in areas such as discipline, humility, determination, and hard work. For the young athlete, the lens through which they view sports participation and the values it offers serves as a launching pad for the way they see themselves. For parents, proactive, thoughtful, deliberate mentoring in sports and life is critical for providing fulfilling and enjoyable sports experiences that help your youngsters mature into well-respected, God-fearing, healthy adults who are value-driven and win in all of life. Whether on or off the field of competition, you can still win in life, even in those moments you may take a loss on the scoreboard. Now, I'm gonna go deep on you. I'm gonna go philosophical on you because here we go. I'm gonna tie this, Ted, to our topic for today, and I'm gonna tie it to the clinical things that arise that I see in my work with parents of athletes and athletes and former athletes. First and foremost, for those who don't know, executive function is what we consider the air traffic control system of the brain. It helps kids focus, remember rules, resist temptation, and think flexibly. The way we parent can affect how kids' executive function skills develop. Here's the deep. We jumping in deep end of the pool. So I hope folks that can't swim have their life jackets, because here we go. I want to explain to you that a concept clinically that ties all of this together. It's called the nuclear family emotional process. The nuclear family emotional process is a clinical concept that describes 4 basic relationship patterns that govern where problems develop in a family system. People's attitudes, sports related, people's beliefs, see that in sports, about relationships play a role in the patterns, but the forces primarily driving them are part of the emotional system. The patterns operate in intact, single parent, step parent, and other nuclear family configurations. Oh, by the way, sidebar, team is a family, just so you know. Put that on your radar. Clinical problems and symptoms usually develop during periods of heightened and prolonged family tension. Team tension too. The tension level depends on the stress of family or team encounters, how a family or team adapts to stress, and on a family or team's connection with extended family and social networks. And for the sake of illustration, we're going to include fans as part of the social networks. Tension increases the activity or one or more of 4 relationship patterns. Where symptoms develop depends on which patterns are most active. The higher the tension, the more chance that symptoms will be severe and that several people will be symptomatic. Are you seeing a connection to why mental health is such a critical issue in sports? And I'm going to give you these 4 basic relation patterns within the context of a traditional family, but you'll see the connection with athletics. The 4 basic relationship patterns are marital conflict. Let's substitute that for player coach. As family tension increases and spouses get more anxious, each spouse externalizes his or her anxiety into the marital relationship. Each focuses on what is wrong with the other, tries to control the other, and resist the other's efforts at control. That sounds a lot like Aaron Rodgers and my coach when he was still at the Green Bay Packers. I'm just saying. Dysfunction in a spouse. One spouse pressures the other to think and act in certain ways, and other yields to the pressure. Both spouses accommodate to preserve harmony, but one does more of it. Might sound like Brady and Belichick behind the scenes. The interaction is comfortable for both people up to a point, but if family tension rises further, the subordinate spouse may yield so much self-control that his or her anxiety increases significantly. If other necessary factors are present, the anxiety fuels the development of psychiatric, medical, or social dysfunction. I wonder if my team's owner has had that impact on all of the coaches since Jimmy Johnson. Don't know. Food for thought. Just saying, just a hypothesis. Impairment of one or more children or players. The spouses focus their anxieties on one or more of their children. They worry excessively and usually have an idealized, Tom Brady walks on water. I know that's your man. Or negative view of the child. Oh boy, Mr. Brown. The more the parents focus on the child, the more the child focuses on them. Everybody out to get me. Don't nobody care. They don't know how great an athlete I am, yada, 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 right? He's more reactive than his siblings or teammates to the parents' attitudes, needs, and expectations. The process undercuts the child or the player's differentiation from the family and makes him vulnerable to act out or internalize mental illness all day, family tensions. The child or player's anxiety can impair his performance, social relationships, and even the person's health. Here we go. Emotional distance. The pattern is consistently associated with the others. People distance from each other to reduce the relationship intensity, but risk becoming too isolated. I don't mind. Devil's workshop. I tell people all the time, there's a reason why isolation is punishment. The basic relationship patterns result in family or team tensions coming to rest in certain parts of the family, hence why some players have more mental health issues than others. The more anxiety one person or one relationship absorbs, the less other people must absorb. I get along with coach just fine. That's them. They over there. They go again. You saw the New Orleans Tampa Bay guy. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a street fight. What just happened?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. This means that some family members or teammates maintain their functioning at the expense of others. That's them. Yo, they about to catch a fine, but we're going to win this game anyhow. Let's get it done.
Mm-hmm.
People do not want to hurt each other, but when anxiety chronically dictates behavior, someone usually suffers for it.
Wow. Wow. And wow. I mean, you took us through the physical, the mental, and then you looked at and then you even spoke about the collateral damage from all of that. Mm-hmm. And so I can absolutely relate. I mean, it's in a team environment, there's some individual activity that has to happen and things that you have to do to be a part of the team. So you do your job, as Bill Belichick says. However, sometimes if you're getting external, you're not getting enough time. Why aren't they giving you the ball more? And this is coming from people who love you. Now you start questioning the big picture of what the coach said. This is what our vision is. This is how we're going to do it. And maybe it only have you in the game for 8 plays, but the entire team wins. But everybody else is telling you you're better than they should have given you more time. And now you're bringing all those emotions to the team environment, creating disruption and dysfunction and tearing down the environment.
Yep. And just so our listening audience gets the connection, metaphorically, our coaches are the parents of the team, right? And the owners are the grandparents of the team.
Okay.
We're gonna look at it generationally, right?
Okay.
So when you look at how to be an effective parent of a student athlete or even a professional athlete, the focus cannot just be on winning. Yes, it absolutely positively is paramount. And we, at the professional level, there's a boatload of money that's paid to win, right? But at what cost? At what cost? At the collegiate level, it's all about the money that the boosters are putting into the athletic program. We got to win, we got to win, we got to win. But at what cost? At the high school level, it's all about preparing the student athlete for college because, everybody thinks they're going to the league. But at what cost? One of the key things that we have to look at, and Ronnie and I have talked about this on previous shows, is I see a lot of parents that are attempting to live vicariously through their children.
I was just getting ready to go there, Dr. Pitts.
Can you speak to that, Ted?
I'm
sick of seeing it. I'm sick of seeing it.
I'm talking about recent. Now, my grandson is 6 years old. I went to see his first flag football game. Exactly what you're talking about. If you go there with your ears open and you go into these little kids, he's 6 playing flag. Okay, they don't even understand the game yet.
Right.
Sometimes you listen to the tone in which, and didn't my son's coach, grandson's coach talks to the kids, encouraging them. I like what I hear. But other coaches, if you really listen in the middle of the game, they get emotional and they say things to children whose parents are there that shouldn't be said. The way you're speaking to them is like, bonehead, why are you doing this? I'm like, he's 6, or he's 8, or he's 7. And I really believe a lot. And I hear the parents on the sidelines screaming at their children in the field. It's not the coaches. It's the parent who's, man, get tough. What's your problem? You start running. You're not putting an effort in. And the kid's looking at him like a deer in headlights. Like, what? I think
you're embarrassing the heck out of me. You're shattering my sense of self. You're destroying my self-confidence. You're making me hate the sport that I really wanted to play just for fun.
Yep.
I just want to be a kid. And you're out here like you've got, our mortgage bet on this
There
game.
you go.
And we're little kids. Yeah.
And that's a lot. When we talked about the pressure.
Yep.
That's pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you what my grandson said.
Psychological damage.
He's 6, and this is what he said. He was riding in the car. I wasn't physically with them. I was on the phone. He had it on speaker. And his game was in 2 days, his first game. And I said, man, how do you feel? And he said, at 6, I'm nervous.
Wow. I
said, nervous for what? I don't want to make a mistake and the coach take me out the game. Not that the coach did anything to give that impression. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But just to know that I can't make a mistake because there's a penalty for that. And I don't want the whole team to look at me as the reason for us losing the game.
Yeah.
Immediately, I had to jump in the granddad role. So I'm hearing the genealogy. I'm like the grandparent level here, looking at this, saying, "Wait a minute." I said, Kayla, you're gonna make mistakes. We all do. All you have to do is do the best you can, and whatever happens after that, don't worry about it. But I know you're going to do well because you've been paying attention in practice. So just go out there and do your best. And listen. Whether you do good or bad, your family still loves you. We're going to still hug you and everything. Yeah. He was like, thank you, Poppy. But see, the whole point was, why would I want him to have that kind of pressure to perform? And he's 6.
Right. And people don't realize, I'm telling you, I could shape.
You want your kid to be a lot. You look at your children as a lottery ticket. And you're putting them in all these camps and all this disrupting their whole childhood. And I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't kids who are gifted, and sometimes the kid may not want to do it, but there's something there. Like if Serena and Venus Williams' father would have just let them say, I don't want to go play no tennis. Right. Do that, we would have never saw what we saw. Right. Golf and Tiger Woods and LeBron and some of these young, it's something about them, and every parent
they're elite. They're elite, and their eliteness was evident at a very, 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 very young age. And I believe what you're speaking to is the importance of balance, right? Because what we saw in the movie about Venus and Serena, he pushed them. But there still has to be balance. There has to be, because what ends up happening is they end up with mental illness. They will end up with all of these issues. And you see the TV commercials with Michael Phelps and Simone Biles and Dak Prescott, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Well, everybody knows Dr. Pitts is everything that I do is grounded in family systems theory, right? So mentally, clinically, I look at everything that's going on in the athletic arenas from a systemic perspective. And when you sit down with folks, Ted, and you peel back the layers, what I take them through a process that I call exploring the power of your past. OMG. Do you hear me?
Nobody wants to go there, do they?
Oh gosh, Ted, it's some of the stuff it's egregious. Some of the stuff that you hear is just so heartbreaking that these individuals had to go through what they went through. And yes, they've achieved extraordinary levels of success, but at what cost? But at what cost? And yes, you've broken all these records and you're going down in history, and you've got trophies and awards and endorsements and all of these things. But is any of it going to matter if you lose your mind?
Not at all.
It won't matter.
And do you have peace?
Right.
Do you have joy? Because in things, and this is where the perspective we give our kids, there's this pot of money at the end of the rainbow in sports, and you can get it. If we put in the work right now, we can get there. I see you doing it, and you're pushing your kids to this. But once you get the pot of gold, with all the rest of the stuff that comes along with that
Right.
process, all
Right.
the leechers and all these people that want to be your,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not built for that and you have no
Right.
foundation to handle all of those things,
Yep.
then it creates the mental illness issue,
Yeah.
isolation, some of the things you
Yep.
talked about, paranoia, who's
Yep.
for me? Are they just around me because of what I have?
Yep.
Kind
All
of
of it.
is that. Think about,
Yeah.
and I feel for some people say, I want to be famous. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be on a big screen and
Mm-hmm.
everybody sees me. For
Mm-hmm.
what? Now,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I always say I'd rather be wealthy
Mm-hmm.
than famous. And
Mm-hmm.
say why? Wealthy people can go places and nobody bothers them because,
Right. Because they don't even know. It's
and
like,
I'm
who are you?
cute. Exactly.
Right.
But just imagine being a Michael Jordan, and
Right.
kids don't even take this into consideration.
Right.
You're out with your family, just dealing
No
with the same
privacy.
stuff we all deal with every day. You
Yeah.
don't think that these people are absolved because
Uh,
they have greatness in a certain sport or whatever. At the end
mhm.
of the day, he's sitting there, want to talk to his wife, and everybody's asking him for an autograph.
Right.
Everywhere you go, you can never get privacy.
Right.
What kind of
Right.
life would you have? I mean, to get all that,
Yeah.
and you say at what cost?
Yeah.
That's a price that I wouldn't be willing to pay.
You know what, Ted? Thank you for bringing that up, because what that speaks to is part of what I referenced when I was doing the mental health tip, right? It's about value system. And everybody's value system is very, very different. So, and I've explained it before, I believe, but I'll explain it again just for illustration purposes. What I want people to understand is that we're not saying don't pursue fame. We're not saying don't pursue what you do. You do you. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're just here to connect the dots for you so that you understand that it's not all glitz and glam. It's,
Nope.
everything is not peaches and cream. It's like, yeah, the bills are paid, but Steve Harvey was the one who said more money, more problems, right?
Right.
And don't get it twisted. Nobody's knocking wealth. I'm not knocking that. What I'm saying is that you can't have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot, and we've explained it this way. I was sharing with Ronnie one day how I did a high school speaking engagement a few years ago, and kids, you say, they get starry-eyed, and everything is fancy, and she's up on stage, and she's commanding the audience, and she's doing all of these things, and they're going on and on and on and on and on, and can I talk to you after? And it was an amazing speaking engagement, right? And this particular session, I opened up by asking them how many of them would like to be where I was. How many of you would like to do what I do, and have the spotlight on you and have everybody's attention on stuff? The majority of their hands went up. Oh, yeah, Ms. Spence, I would love to do that. I went, Dr. Fitz said, yeah, I'd love to do it. And I go on and on and on and on and on. And I'm gonna say toward the latter part of the speaking engagement, I wove it in subtly, sneak tipped on them, right? And I was like, how many of you would be interested in being homeless? Nobody's hand went up. How many of you would be interested in being, broke? Nobody's hand went up. How many of you would be interested in being talked about? And I went down the line of some of the most horrific things, some of my most traumatic experiences that I've been through that prepared me to be able to take that stage, right? And of course, nobody's hands went up. And then I said, but I thought you all wanted to be me.
Wow.
That's what you told me when I first took stage, when they first introduced me. You told me that you would want to be here. Mm-hmm. You can't be here without the rest of the journey.
That's right.
And everybody has a journey. And everybody's journey might not be laden with traumatic experiences like mine was. But if you live long enough, everybody gonna go through something sometime.
That's right.
And that's what we're trying to get our athletes to understand, is that we're not saying don't set your sights on the lead. We're not here to rain on your parade. But what we are encouraging you is to understand that there are multiple pieces to this jigsaw puzzle of life. And a key part of that is how parents prepare their children for what's next. When you talk about the judgment and the criticism and the ridicule and all of these things, I want to reframe that and say, parents, you should be empowering. not beating up.
Mm-hmm.
You should be encouraging, not annihilating.
Mm-hmm.
You should be reinforcing, character building, not tearing them down and shattering their spirit. Your ability as a parent to empower is going to be a critical element to your child's success as an athlete, whether they go pro or not. And there's only 2% of athletes to go pro. So it's a huge, huge, huge possibility that your child is not going pro. But they can come through that athletic trajectory with extraordinary character.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary character.
And one of the things I will say, Dr. Pitts, sports, I played, football competitively in college and all that. And one of the things that there are some life lessons there. And I'm so excited that you were able to extract biblical principles out of these sports development programs. All of it's in the book. It's all foundational. It's all about character building. But one of the things that I really liked that I took away was how great coaches help build great men.
Yes.
And they don't
and women.
And women. Yes.
And
I'll
women.
lose you guys. They build great people, not just for sports. If you look at the ones that never make it to the NFL or to the professional level, look at some of the other professions that they go into, and they've been able to extract the principles of determination, hard work, being on time, being part of a team, seeing the bigger picture, making sacrifices. And they actually can apply those same principles that they learn playing a sport into their real life activities. And it becomes a part of their lifestyle. So I think the foundation of if the parent will focus on the life lessons that you're getting, versus the outcome of the score and how many touchdowns that you get, and did you catch any passes, how many tackles, that's good. I'm not saying don't speak of those things, but say, here's some lessons that you can learn from this. Remember when this happened, let me relate it to something that's going to help you in the long run. See, that time you helped your teammate out when he fell down, that's called picking your brother out when he's down. You put things into it.
Not stepping on his neck.
There you go. And so I'm excited that I was able to learn those things. It did make me a better person, I believe. And it makes you to look at other people and see the team piece helps you to see other people who are going through the same struggles with you. But at the same time, you all have a common goal that you're trying to achieve. And everybody gets to see where everybody put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it's a better reward when everybody wins, even though there may be some players, they didn't do it by themselves. And the humility piece that you talked about with James in the book of James. I love it when I see a winner who's willing to give credit to the other performer who is the opponent and give him credit for his effort and humble himself and say, thank God for allowing me to be the victor today, but it gives me the gifts to continue to win. But to not say I'm the greatest thing that ever walked God's green earth, nobody can beat me. The proud, it says it in James, struck down. So at some point in time, they'll fall. And so humility, people love individuals who are humble. That's right. And who are willing to help other people and not make it all about them. And those types of individuals I connect with, I'm going to follow them and continue to try to support individuals like that, because that affects the entire world when they get on a big stage.
It does. And to piggyback on that, as you describe that, what that illuminates for me is how important it is for parents to be role models for their children and not taskmasters, right? When you take into consideration that we're truly the first example that our children see of how they should be behaving within the context of athletic play, but also more importantly in life holistically, what type of example are you setting? It's like you said, are you in the stand screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, and acting like a parky which is conveying what to your child. And then you wonder, no, I'm keeping it real, right? And then
Wait a minute, hold on, Doctor. You said a Park 8?
yeah.
I never heard. That is
so when you go to the zoo
yeah.
sometimes and you mess with them and they get to acting crazy. They get to acting crazy. And that's the thing, man. You know, kids imitate their atmosphere. There's another concept, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but there's another clinical concept called the family projection process. And what that process talks about is how parents transfer their emotional problems onto their children.
Wow.
Boom, mic drop, bloop, bloop. So when you look at that, right, it's like, what's when I was working a great deal with small children on my caseload, and it just always just mind-blowing to me how parents who use corporal punishment to discipline their children act shocked when their kids would go to school and fight.
Mm-hmm.
You've taught them to.
Mm-hmm.
You've taught them to resolve conflict with violence. Why are you surprised? Right? And I went through it, and my mom usually listens to the show. I don't know if she did or not. Corporal punishment was her friend. She was intimately acquainted. It was like her and corporal punishment were bedfellows. Okay. I will be 55 my birthday, and the strap that she used to beat me with is still laying on top of her refrigerator.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
That strap is 55 years old. But here's the thing. She and I say laughing, so mommy, I hope you're listening, right? It used to drive her bonkers whenever I would get suspended from school for fighting. And of course, in my youth, I didn't realize that the use of corporal punishment was sort of fueling that. It was a bunch of other stuff fueling it too, because I did have trauma, but that was a part of it. It was like, oh, I can be violent. And I tell people all the time, I total transparency, Dr. Pitts has a violent streak. Now, I haven't acted upon that violent streak in 30 years. However, the old nature is still in there. I own that, and here's why. I tell people, leave me alone. You gotta leave me alone. And the reason why I bring that up is because parents, you are role modeling for your children how to conduct themselves on and off the field, on and off the court, on and off the baseball diamond, the balance beam, the pool, whatever their sport is. You are what they are going to reflect. If you have difficulty regulating your emotions, why should you expect them to regulate theirs? If you have difficulty seeing things through to completion, why would you expect them to? If you quit when things get hard, why would you expect them to go hard on that field? Mm-hmm. Stop penalizing your children for acting like you.
Come on now. You know what that simply is? The scripture says, don't talk about trying to get the splinter, and I'm paraphrasing here, out your eye. Mm-hmm. out your friend's eye, mm-hmm. while you still have a log in yours. And so I think sometimes a parent sees their own problems, mm-hmm. but they're pointing out, yeah, you just like your so-and-so. And mm-hmm. Where's all that coming from? That's and right. We don't realize that we're the ones sometimes bringing it to them. So that's why we got to be conscious of what we're saying, mm-hmm. what we're presenting. Mm-hmm. And even when we do have a lapse, we have to come even to our children and not feel proud and say, you know what I did, I have to mm-hmm. apologize for that. That mm-hmm. was out of character, and here's why. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They'll respect you for that.
Oh, heck yeah.
That.
Andre knows I am the queen of apology. Mm-hmm. I will, because I didn't get that growing up. Paulette wasn't apologizing. Me either. They felt like they need to apologize. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on apologies. They're not coming. It's okay, mommy. I love you. But I did when in parenting him, all these years, he's good and grown now, but still, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I don't have a problem owning the fact that what I did or what I said or the example that I set was wrong. I even said to him, Ted, one time that my hopes for him, and I've prayed this prayer over him since he was in the womb, is that, I believe that God created the wife for him from before the foundation of the earth. There's a young woman somewhere who was created in her mother's womb for him. And I told him, I said, and my prayer is that she's nothing like I used to be. I meant that thing. I have taken full responsibility and accountability for the heartbreak that I caused his dad, operating from that wounded place. And I won't even get into how that may have impacted his athletic play at any given time, because there were times that I just wasn't right. I just wasn't a kind, loving person to him. And I'm not going to make the assumption that it impacted his athletic play, but I feel like I know him well enough to know that there were times when I was taking him through unnecessary changes that it impacted his performance on the field. And I've made those amends. One of the things that I want to touch on, because this question comes up a lot for me, Ted, with parents that I work with that have student athletes, they say, Dr. Pitts, how do I prepare my high school student athlete for college? How do I do that? And it's funny because they almost seem surprised when I go into the emotional component first, right? If your child is not of sound mind, they're not going to be as successful as they could be academically or athletically in college. And it's really, really, really important to understand that student athletes possess a host of personal characteristics, traits, and values that have helped them thrive athletically, including discipline, commitment, focus, high energy, work ethic, ability to handle pressure, and resilience. And that list could go on and on and on, but it's really important for parents to, I believe, and I want you to chime in on this, I emphasize to my parents, focus on character building first. If you focus on character building first, I believe that it makes it that much easier to continue to develop them athletically, because someone who is of strong character will, it's almost by default, some of those other things that are necessary for them to be successful academically and athletically will come into play. What do you think?
I agree. I think that the character piece, if you have that foundation built, which over time should have been being built from their childhood up to this point. I know a lot of times parents feel like my child's not ready. He or she seems immature. Do I want to put him out there to the world? And they never think back. And a lot of times when people talk to me, and I know their child because I've seen them grow up, and it's all the things they put in them. I'm like, you've done your part. You've built the foundation so that they know how to think for themselves, because they're not going to be there with you every single moment like it is right now, where they just bouncing every question off of you because they're there in the house every day. They're going to be in a position where they have to make some decisions in a split second. And it's going to require the foundation of the character that you helped them to build to say, that is wrong. I can't do that. I need to go over here, and how to make the next decision. Now they're going to have some challenges where things are going to be convoluted. It's going to look good. It kind of leans into my character, but I still don't know. Here's the other piece. Hopefully you've been able as a parent to have a relationship enough with your child to say, I can come talk to my parent, or I listen to what someone else is going to say to me who may not have my best interests at heart.
That's right.
Now, I will say there were some things I didn't want to talk to my mama about.
Right.
And I chose not to, because I don't want to tell her that. She's going to think this. I already know. I've already played out my mom's response because I know her character. Should have told me I shouldn't be doing it either. That's why I don't want to talk to her about it. However, Ted went on and did what he did. And sometimes the results of those things weren't always the way they turned out the way they should have.
Right.
Then here you come rolling all this garbage out to mama. Let's fix all this broken glass. And she said, why you ain't just bring me the glass when it was whole?
How about that?
So I'm thankful without me doing it.
Yeah.
My sons do that with me.
Yeah.
They don't bring me broken glass and say, Dad, let's fix it. They're asking me about throwing the glass on the ground in the first place. And I'm, hey, that's valuable. You're going to learn something from that. Here's what you need to see. Yeah. And so I'm thankful that but my conversation is rooted in the word. So if I go there first to get an answer for my circumstance or my situation, then I have a great and a better chance of giving my kid the proper advice, the proper instruction, not to tell him what to do, but to hopefully teach him how to think.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And I'm giggling because I started having the hard, embarrassing conversations with Andre at a very young age, but just because of what you said, because I didn't ever want him to feel like he had to go to his friends or to the street to get answers, right? Because we already know what that looks like.
Yep.
And I'm not going to sit here and suggest that at 34 and a half years old that he talks to me about every single solitary thing under the sun, because I know that he doesn't, but he knows that he can, right? He knows that he can come to me and talk to me. And Eric comments on that all the time, that he will call to he bounces stuff off of me. He has a very high differentiation of self. He's very independent, but he also understands the importance of wisdom. He also understands the importance of not having to reinvent the wheel. And to your point, he doesn't have to make all the mistakes himself. So he knows at any given time, he can pick up the phone and call me. He can pick up the phone and call his dad. He can pick up the phone and call his grandfathers, his grandmothers, his stepfather, his uncles. He has a rock solid family support system that even in adulthood is still a key ingredient to his success. And when he was still actively involved in athletic play, he could have those conversations about what was going on athletically and just in life. And it was instrumental in increasing the level of success that he was having. One of the things that I think that it's so important to emphasize, and maybe you can help me. I understand it, but it's frustrating because I'm like, you can't see that. I need parents to understand the importance of encouraging a positive academic mindset, right? How many over the years, you and I are right. How many times over the years have we seen athletes who within, 3 to 5 years of being out of the league were broke because academically they just weren't sound? The financial literacy piece, which is part of academics, just wasn't there. Now, Ted, in college, we've got this name, image, and likeness. So these kids are getting money. They're getting that paper because of their name, image, and likeness. But do they know how to manage that money?
Nope.
So many of these kids have come from impoverished situations where all the emphasis is on athletic performance, and very little to no emphasis on academic performance. And what we need you all to understand is that you're doing your child and your family a disservice if you don't emphasize valuing academic goals just as much as athletics. You have to, because the athletic play is going to come to an end. And
not as a penalty, Dr. Pitts, because I only could play sports if I got good grades. So was I committed to getting the good grades because it's going to be beneficial to me long term beyond sports? Or was I just getting good grades because I knew that my mom wouldn't let me play the sport? And I believed that was going to be the real punishment. So my mother encouraged the academic stuff more than the athletic.
We did too.
She didn't care about that. She was like, I don't care about that. She said, you got to have a plan B. My plan A was I'm going to NFL. There is no plan B. Mom knew better. She knew about the 2%, never told me about that. But the whole point was you're going to achieve academically. And I'm going to focus
Mhm.
on that because that's what's most
Mhm.
important, because it
Mhm.
gives you more options at the end of the day if you blow
Mhm.
your knee out,
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
being dependent on somebody living off your past history and reels of tape
Yeah.
that you'll never make any more of.
Yeah. You know what? That is so powerful. You know what's interesting? Andre never, and he, I mean, he loves sports. He loves sports. He excelled at basketball. He excelled at baseball. He excelled at swimming. He sort of took a back step to football because he was quarterback. He was like, yo, they let me get hit. I'm not. Is that it was his freshman and sophomore year of high school? He was quarterback. He was like over it. It was like this line is not protecting me. I'm not with it. But what I appreciate so much about him and how his father and I parented him is that for as much as he loves sports and for as passionate he is, there was never a time he never said a word about going pro. And it was interesting because as you observed his athletic play, I really truly believe, and we used to talk about this, he was swimming with lifeguard strength at the age of 12.
Mm-hmm.
He is a very, 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 very strong swimmer. He's ambidextrous. He was a phenomenal baseball player and could have easily gone to college on a baseball or a swimming scholarship. And when I say he wanted no part of it, and he even ran track too. Like he did it all. He was like, nope. He wanted no part of it. He said, it's a job. It's a job that I don't want. I just want to be able to enjoy college. And look, I go to the games. I'll root. He was like, but I want to be able to come home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and macaroni and cheese.
It's a commitment. It
Yeah,
really truly is.
He just wasn't willing to do that. And we respected that. And we honored that. And we were able to do that, Ted, because our priority for him was always academics.
Mhm.
And he knew that if his grades were not where they needed to be, I want to say it was like 8th or 9th grade year. Oh my God. His dad doesn't get mad that often. I don't know what Dre was going through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he was going through. He had, and I don't think it was just a progress report. Like, I don't even think it was the report card, but his dad was displeased. And back then, kids, everybody was wearing braids. He made me shave took him to the barbershop, had to shave his head bald. Took his braids off, took it, zoom, gone, braid, bald. You shave my baby braids up, made him shave his head bald and pulled him off. You get them grades up, you can play. Period. End of discussion. We never had that issue again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Never had that issue again. Because the emphasis has to be on academics. The other thing that's really important is because we're almost out of time. And we say this almost every show. Parents, please encourage your children to develop their identity beyond that of being an athlete.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Please.
Who are you?
Please. Yeah. Who are you?
Beyond the uniform.
Yeah.
And when the uniform goes away, who do people identify you to be? And you are what you play.
Yeah. Yeah. You also have to encourage the athlete to work equally hard at being a student as they are at being an athlete. The effort, you want that win in your athletic play, you need that win academically too. You have to, because it'll come back to bite you later on if you don't. I don't like math, but you want that money. How you gonna count it? How you gonna know if the accountant is robbing you?
Throw this in there for the parent on this one, on Dr. Pitts. When these coaches are coming to talk to your kids about scholarship opportunities, you got a pretty nice athlete. Start asking them about how much emphasis do they put on the graduation rate of their kids, and then not with a degree in basket weaving or general studies, something that's going to be able to sustain them in the future.
Yeah.
Those are some of the questions that a parent needs to be asking versus
Right.
how big is the facility? Do they have state of the art this? How many TV games is going to be? Ask some of those questions. And then if you have a great value system, as you talked about, maybe you'll make some better decisions in where you might send your kid because you'll look at it for the long term.
That's right. That's right. And here's the thing, you know, in the beginning, I shared with you, I'm going to share it again just to bring it home. Executive function is the air traffic control of the brain. It helps kids focus, remember rules, resist temptation, and think flexibly. The way we parent can affect how kids' executive function skills develop. So not only have we broken this down and teased this out and peeled back the layers, but we filled your toolbox today on ways that you should be parenting and could be parenting that are going to strengthen your child's executive functioning, because kids grow up to be adults. Mm-hmm. And they're going to imitate their atmosphere. And as a parent, if you're substandard in your efforts to help your child to develop strong executive functioning skills, know that that is going to be problematic for them, not just in athletic play in high school, college, and if they go to the league, because we see it. You can look literally, Eric, he was like, babe, can you be off work for a minute? It's like, I literally sit and analyze football games from a mental health perspective. That Buccaneers Saints game, all my clinical wires were going crazy. Mm-hmm. Because every fiber of my clinical being said, oh, there's history, right? There is systemic history that exists in the lives of both of those two primary play, Evans, and I forget what the other guy's name was.
Ramsey.
Yeah. There's, as sure as my name is Dr. Lauren Denise Pitts, I'm sure of it, Ted. I am sure of it that if we could get in, that there's systemic issues that are indicators of conflict resolution that exists in their family of origin that looks like that. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt in my clinical mind about it. So we as parents have to take responsibility and accountability for being mindful mm-hmm. of how we're transferring our emotional baggage onto our children. We need to be mindful what that looks like in our children and how it's manifesting. Chances are they look like a miniature you, and that's why they get on your nerves so bad, because they represent every part of yourself that you don't like. You need to be able to take ownership of whether or not you're setting your child up for success or failure in and out of athletic involvement. Stop shattering them. Stop shattering them. That is not the way to get them to perform the way you want them to perform. To the coaches, the parents of the team, you got to build up. If all you do is tear down, mm-hmm. why are they going to produce for you the way you want them to produce?
Absolutely.
You have to reinforce, you have to build up, you have to let them know. And that's what I loved about Colin Kaepernick's documentary. You have to let them know that they're not just a mule. They're not just a mule. You beat mules. Hiya! To get them to go. They're men, they're women, they're boys, they're girls. They're somebody's child. They're a pulse. They're a living, breathing being that with the appropriate nurturance, they'll produce for you. They will produce. Look, folks, that's all we have for today. Ronnie will be back next week. We'll play catch up with the picks. Keep blowing the brakes off me. I'm not wearing no Eagles jersey. Y'all say what you want. I'll be reneging on the bet somebody. I'm wearing no Eagles jersey. Look, folks, Ted Wright, thank you so much. You know, I love you, man. You are absolutely amazing, amazing. Ted will be back later on in the season to join us for another show. Look, folks, enjoy your Saturday. This is House Talk Pregame. I'm Dr. Lauren Pitts. Be blessed, everybody. Bye-bye.